Happy Halloween, folks! I am so excited. I love Halloween. I love the spooky season in general, but Halloween is probably my favorite holiday of the year because I love spooky stuff, creepy stuff, paranormal stuff, ghost stories, scary movies. I love it all, and I like getting cozy when it's cold out with a hot drink. It's just everything about the spooky season is my favorite thing. I am a little bummed that October went by so fast. I mean, I had all of these plans of things I was going to do. I even had like this schedule laid out. It's like, I'm going to release this video this week, start this video here, and then finish it by here so I can have it edited by here. And it just didn't end up working out that way. And I blame the fact that I always bite off more than I can chew around this holiday time, because there's so much I want to do. And I ran out of time. But I have still been working on stuff, and I do have things to share with you. I'm just going to be trickling that out through December. So I guess you can look forward to that throughout the rest of the year. Just keep that in mind. I understand it's no longer Halloween, but I had filmed these beforehand, and I want to share them. Anyway, let's get into it. I don't know, although people are, anyway. So, but I do like to try to go with a theme. Like last year was the gothic cottagecore. I wanted it to be more witchy, but I didn't have a witch hat. That is something that's on my to-do list. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And then the year before was this pumpkin pinafore that I had made to be more of like a harvesty dress. This year, however, I want to do candy as my theme because I love Halloween candy, especially the chocolate kind. And as far as what I'm going to be doing, I want to do some blouses because I feel like I'm always making dresses and skirts and I don't have anything for the top half of my body. So the pattern that I'm going to be doing is this Reproduction Simplicity 1590. This was originally released in the 1940s and then reproduced in 2013. I think it is super cute. I like both styles, so I'm going to be doing both blouses. And the fabric I'm going to be using is this orange candy cotton and this cream candy cotton. I think they're both adorable, and I could not decide which one I wanted to do. And I thought, why not both? So the orange one is going to be view A, and the cream color one is going to be view B. And I'm going to put the little bow that's in view B on view A because it's looking a little plain. We can't have plainness. With that being said, let us begin. Alright, let's just get into it. You've seen me cut fabric a dozen times now. But if you're new here, well, just imagine that I cut the fabric out with some witty commentary over top. It was great, you loved it. I was a real knee slapper with the jokes. With that aside, I begin with the darts. I sew them down on the side and the back, and then I join the back to the front on the shoulder seams. Next, I join the back skirt pieces together down the middle. For the bow, I ended up cutting one piece of each fabric because I'm indecisive. So for each bow, I sew 3/4 away around the edges, joining the front and the back together. Then folding and sewing one side of the bow's waistband. That is my bow for now. I speed run the whole process on the second blouse, but since both blouses are the same, I am going to be flippy-flopping back and forth between them, so please don't get confused. The blouses are the same, as I said, except the cream one gets a fancy collar and tie backs. For the tie backs, I fold the narrow tie piece to make an even narrower tie piece, and sew down one side, and now it is a tie tube. At the ironing table, I iron seams open, darts crisp, and shoulders flat. I trim the bow corners and pull its insides outside before I make it crispy. I also make sure to tuck in the unsightly raw edges. To reverse my tie backs without losing my mind, I shove a pokey stick down the tube. This pokey stick is tied to a safety pin, which I safely pin to one end of the tube. I ease the pokey stick down through the other end of the tie, reminding myself of simpler times of me trying to get that last little bit of yogurt out of the human licky stick that is a Go-Gurt. Once through, I push the safety pin in and pull it out the other side. Last, I iron it crispy. I clean up on the edges by running them through my serger. Some get individual treatment, while others get called to assembly line. I also run the lining through the serger, mostly to clean up the interfacing overhang because I am too lazy to trim it myself, or to even cut it the right size in the first place. I switch machines and close up the shirt sides. These shirts don't have a defined armscye or sleeve, so I marked the appropriate size hole earlier. After I take a quick pit break to iron the lining facing edges, then flip the collar inside out and use the pokey stick to pop out that sharp corner point. So sharp. I top stitch the iron edge so it stays in place and I can attach it to the collar. Wait, I was mistaken. I need to serge finish the blouse's sides first. Actually, no, what I meant to say is I need to serge finish the shoulders first. Then finish the side seams before I can then sew down the collar's facing. Next, I sew the back skirts to the upper back, then join the sides and sew it into a dart that runs up the front, before tucking and rolling the armhole edges to top stitch around the armholes. Next, I serge it around the whole outside of the blouse so I can iron and top stitch it finished. We're in the final innings here. I gather and snatch the bow middle, and then hand tack its little belt on, making sure to grab a few threads of the bow so it stays secure. Next comes the fun part of adding the buttons. For the green blouse, I'm using these true vintage turquoise plastic buttons. I've had these for a while and I'm so pleased I get to finally use them. For the orange blouse, I use these true vintage white buttons in an assortment of styles. None of these match, but the shape, size, and color are the same, so that's good enough for me. For the buttonholes, I clip the fabric between two pins that are the same width as the button I'm using. Even so, I always check my work, and then I clip away any of the frayed bits. Staying inside and under the exterior fabric, I determine the size of my buttonhole finish, and then I loop threads around the needle, then pull it tautly. I repeat this around the entire perimeter, doing my best to keep even spacing and width. Around the corners, I will do 2 to 3 angled stitches and then finish the whole thing off with a double knot in the back. I check my work again and I'm set with one button down. Just 11 to 12 more to go. Isn't that right, Bert? It is around this time that I'd like to note that I realized that I made this cream blouse with all its fabric upside down. I'm just going to say those bats are upside down because bats like to be upside down. With that, it is time for the reveal. there you have it, another project down, and I absolutely love how these came out. I feel so good in them. I think they are just so cute and fun and playful, and I adore them. I really like how vibrant they are, and I like how busy they are. They're so wild. I also love how this is interchangeable. I will probably be making like a black one, a white one. I'm a girl who loves accessories, so I absolutely love the idea of interchangeable bows. For this shirt, I'll probably make an orange one, like that matches these little candy corns. I love the idea of making bows that pop off and pop on. I think I'll incorporate that more in like other outfits. I love cinching things in with belts, and these blouses are just so perfect for cinching in. I also like that it's a little peplum, so it kind of pops out. It's so adorable. I love it. I want to make more, not just Halloween ones, but I just want to make a dozen more in different colors of this type of blouse. Even doing the cream colored one with the collar and the tie back, I just think it looks so cute. The only thing I would change about these blouses is making them about one size smaller, as this is a little too big. But right now I'm okay with that, because I'd rather have something that was a size or two too big than a size or two too small, which is a lot of what my clothes are right now, so I'm okay with this loosey-goosiness. I would also change the fact that the cream color shirt is made upside down. I can't believe I did that. I literally did not notice that it was upside down until I was editing the reveal photos, and I'm zooming in on the fabric and like, those bats are supposed to be right side up. Why are they upside down? And then I noticed like the little pumpkins and the lollipops are upside down. It's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I made this whole blouse from start to finish without realizing that I made it upside down. Oh well, I can't change it now, but at the very least it's a very busy pattern, and with me working so close with it and not noticing it was upside down, I doubt that other people are going to notice that it's upside down, and I'm just going to say that those are bats and they like to be upside down. So really the only thing that is right side up is this bow, which I probably cut upside down, but who would tell, because I could just change it around. So as far as the grade goes for these blouses, I would probably say they're an A, and that's because I used up all fabric that I've had on hand. Granted, I bought it last year when it was after Halloween, when it was on sale, so take that what you will. I bought fabric recently, but I did not have to buy new fabric. And all the buttons I used were buttons I already had on hand. And I suppose that is it, other than thread, but I also always have thread on hand and interfacing. Now I am ready for Halloween tonight. I am so excited. And if you're thinking, Ariel, that's all nice and everything, super, but it's not a costume for Halloween, and people wear costumes on Halloween. I get it, and I have made a bunch of costumes this year that I could easily dress up as, but I'm a big fat Halloweenie. I just like to wear things that are very Halloween-esque as opposed to dressing in costume, because this is cute. I look so good, and I feel so good, and that's what I want to be when I go to parties. This is my outfit. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, how I haven't been posting a lot. Again, like I said, I get really busy with my family's Halloween party and events going on, along with all my other non-sewing crafts that I like to do during the holidays. But I do plan to start rolling them out as I get them completed. It's just going to be through November and December as opposed to all of October. I'll probably be going back to my regular every other week program. It just seems to work out better that way. At least I'm not stressing on top of trying to do all my other things, trying to get my sewing work done. Fortunately though, I have gotten all of my sewing done for the year, and I'm just going to focus on editing those videos and getting them out. There's going to be a bit of a blend of sewing and craft projects coming up, so I'm not going to have too many Christmas stuff unfortunately this year. Who knows, maybe I'll start off January with a few Christmas things. Anyway, I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I do try to release a new video every other weekend. Sometimes. And until next time, you have a good day. Bye! Hello, my name is Ariel and I'm back with a new video, and in today's video I am going to be doing something special for Halloween. I don't know why I said that as if it were a question. So I thought this year I would do a candy corn. No. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Oh no. With all that being said, let us get into it. With all that being said, let us begin. Wow. Oh no. Why am I always covered in threads? I am just always covered in threads.